With humanity at war against the vile armies of the alien, mutants, and the stuff of chaos, they are blinded to the worms that thrive within the very belly of their Imperium. These worms feed upon them like parasites, and when the moment comes, will come bursting out of them in sickening hordes. These parasitic worms, the Genestealer Cults, are an unseen horror with the Imperium of man. Humans mutated with the genes of a foul gene stealer, to whom they see as a prophet. They hide themselves away from the surface world within dark undergrounds, breeding with one another and those they've kidnapped. These cults grow their numbers through generations, growing vast and innumerable. Whilst any Xeno is seen as a filthy animal by the Imperium, the idea of humanity's perfect genes being mixed with that of a foul alien is truly abominable. Pink-skinned and heads unnaturally bulged, these cultists are hunted across the galaxy. There can be no forgiveness for these alien worshippers. To turn away from the Emperor is an act of a heretic, but to be mixed with the enemy of mankind is a betrayal to those who stand their guard in the trenches. Indeed, the birth of a Genestealer cult is like that of a feeding parasite. The Genestealer, one of the many Tyranid life forms, is the one who spreads these worms of corruption. Within starless space, rogue trader ships might be boarded by one of these Xenos. Like a scout, the Genestealer searches for worlds for the Hive fleets to be attracted to and feed upon. Like a virus, it will infect the host and present the body for the hungering Hive. When these ships return to their native homes, or might stop to refuel upon any Imperial world, the planet is forfeit. The Genestealer will abandon the ship and hide itself away within deep catacombs and sewers long forgotten by the planetary governor. Here, the Genestealer will kidnap a human and impregnate it with a portion of its own genetic makeup. This process, the Genestealer Kiss, is the first step to a cult's establishment. With this mutation, the victim will see the Genestealer as an idol from a kind god. This human will then seek out a partner and have a child. The victim's child will be a hybrid thing upon its birth, the first generation of a Genestealer cult. Bulbous-headed, six-armed, and purpled skin, this creature will then mate with others of its kind. The next generation, the second generation, may appear more human than its father. Though beastly with its alien mind, it will understand enough to speak low Gothic and work in the cult's industrial subculture. The third generation may appear human at a distance, though when looked close upon, one might find its face as rigid, pink-skinned, and may be hiding an extra limb underneath its clothing. Lastly, the fourth generation are born more akin to humans. They will involve themselves into the surface world. They will involve themselves into politics, become priests, or strive to become famed officers within the Astra Militarum. However, when they have a child with a regular mortal, that child will be born as a purebred Genestealer. The fourth generation parents will see no evil within the child. Wanting to see its alien form, the child will start the cycle all over again, continuing the plague of the Genestealer gene. As these mutated genes spread, the cult will thrive underground and slowly expand their culture. The father Genestealer itself, during its time growing and guiding its cult, becomes an evolved thing. Taller than a space marine, and talons resembling sabers, the Genestealer, renamed the Patriarch, will be seen as a godly creature to fear and love by his followers. Eventually, though, the cult will become so powerful that their militia will outmatch the planet's regiments. The politicians, who themselves may have the alien genetic, will turn a blind eye to the cult's activities within the surface world. Once the cult has expanded globally, they will invade the surface world in legion. Buildings that have been secretly planted with explosives come crashing down in thick clouds of metal shards and concrete, while streets cave in to give an opening to the vast armies of these hybrids. The planet's regiment of guardsmen, who have been caught off guard by the sun invasion are quickly put down. Communications with other planets are quickly cut off, leaving the planet to its fate. Over them, a guardsman will find the tendril-like ship of the Tyranids swarm wrapping itself around the planet. The Tyranids fall upon the world like a swarm of angered bees, consuming and feasting upon all forms of biolife. While the humans cry in horror, the cults will cheer with praises and honeyed words. Their gods have arrived, there to liberate them and become one with the divine. Side by side, the cultists and the Tyranid swarm will break what was left of the planet's forces. None will be spared, and all will be given to the Tyranids as sacrifices. Once the plan has been broken, the cultists will be alone with their gods. Their prophet will present itself to the Tyranids. However, instead of being rewarded for spreading the word of the gods, the Patriarch rejoins the Horde as nothing but another drone within the hive. Members within the cult will begin to doubt, but by then, it's too late. Swarmed upon, the cultists and their hybrid cousins are consumed by their so-called gods. They will realize they've been played. Filled, the Tyranid swarm will leave the husked planets and find other worlds to invade and devour. What was left of the Genestealer Cults is no more. Its people played their parts in the galactic game for dominance. They have played their parts as a rook for the hive mind. No longer of use, they are but another meal for the hive's never-ending need to consume.